Não quero cá ver. Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. So today what I do have in here, it is killing for free running on Linux Mint 22.1. I know that most of the people are using other type of distros, rolling distros like not just rolling distros but also unmutable distros like Bazite. But I decided to take a spin with my Linux Mint, which is not a fully updated system though. And to start on, I'm using the Proton, the default Proton available at the current time of Steam for running killing for free. And let me tell you that it does run pretty good, although and obviously there are some issues with the Linux version. So it's just going to pre-compile shaders. I'm just going to skip this ahead. It's going to initialize easy anti-cheat with no issues whatsoever. So this is one of the multiplayer games that at the time it is actually working on Linux without any issues, which is pretty good. I decided to launch MangoHud, and here's the unfortunate part. The game contains a lot of videos. So the intro videos, there are also the entire menu is kind of a video too, and all of them have these kind of test environment there. This is because the default Proton, the one available from Steam, doesn't contain proprietary or licensee codecs, which this game actually makes use of. So for solve this, you need to launch with GI Proton. I decided to try with Proton 10 and Proton Experimental and Proton Hotfix, and none of them actually includes the codecs for that. So my only salvation in here, it was to use the GI Proton 10.10. Okay, for this one, it will work. The videos will appear with no issues, so it's going to launch again. Let's just wait for a while. Okay. It's booting, and there we go. With GI Proton 10.10 you get the videos, okay, and that's for now my recommended way to play at the moment killing for free. So it does compile shaders at all, so it does all the stuff as you can see in here. Sometimes it compiles some extra shaders in here, which takes your CPU to 100%. But after that, it's just done. On Windows, I don't see that compilation of extra shaders like those 800 and somethings. Okay, let me just show you the settings. I will use the default settings which the game defaults into, which was median settings. I did change the textures there, but I will just use median. And the game at default was bringing FSR in its balance mode, but I do prefer TSR instead, and I'm using 67%, which is the same thing, the same internal resolution as FSR quality. So I go online in here, and it's pretty good. So I'm having about 90 frames per second. Keep in mind that I'm recording with OBS, which recording on Linux is not as optimized as on Windows. At least that's my experience. I lose much more frames recording on Linux compared to Windows, and thus I still have, for some reason, very high frame rates in here. So I'm having about 100 frames per second. This is pretty much what I do get on Windows, but with the thing that on Linux it's actually more demanding to record. So I will skip all of this ahead. So apart from the GI Proton issue on Linux, I mean not the GI but the codecs issue, another issue that I have with the Linux distribution is that sometimes when you join a new match, there are characters with different skins, with weapons with different perks, I don't know, stuff that never was pre-compiled before. And you get like a couple of seconds, the worst case I have seen it was 2 minutes, where the game just stalled there at 10 or 20 frames per second with the CPU at 100% because the Linux version needed to compile some shaders that wasn't really got caught at the beginning of the match. This doesn't happen on Windows, so that's a thing that it was just exclusively seen on my Linux run it was this. It doesn't happen anytime, every time I mean, and sometimes it's just 10 to 20 seconds at the beginning of the match or as soon as you enter, and for the most part it's no time at all. Okay, I think it depends a lot if it's the first time you are running that map or it's the first time you are joining with someone with a lot of different stuff than you usually have. But the worst case I have seen it was 2 minutes, and I played a lot, keep that in mind. And most of the time it's just 10 to 20 seconds when that happens. But for the most part it never happens. Okay, that's the thing that you should know about. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Okay, as performance compared to Windows, what I've seen and tested without recording. Keep in mind that testing a multiplayer game, it's pretty much impossible. Since everything is always different, it's impossible to replicate the same scene exactly, but you have the hub area, and in the hub area I've noticed that Linux seems to provide like an extra 5 to 6 frames per second when you are getting about 90 frames. So that's like a 5% advantage, 5 to 6% advantage on Linux compared to Windows, as far as I've could seen. But when it comes to running in the middle of the monsters, and keep in mind that this game is very CPU bound in my case, running in the middle of the monsters and stuff like that, I did a couple of runs and compared the frame rate in between Linux and Windows, and what I've got, it was a very small advantage for Linux. So to be more precise, all the average that I've done, basically Linux, I end up with a 1% lows around 34 frames per second with averages of 65, while on Windows, for example, my 1% lows was about 26 and an average of 63. So in regarding averages, it was just 2 frames difference. And keep in mind that it's impossible to benchmark this because every time is different, and when it comes to 1% lows it was a little bit better on Linux, but that's it. Guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about killing for free on Linux. Hope you did enjoy the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.